You know, they say life is a journey. But what if it's not really about the destination? What if it's about the answers we're looking for along the way? That's exactly what we're going to dig into today through the eyes of philosopher Corrado Piancastelli. He completely flips the script on how we think about, well, everything. Life, death, what it even means to be human. And for him, it all kicks off with this one single question that's probably crossed your mind 1,000 times.
Right? This is the big one. If we've been here before, if we've lived all these other lives, why the blank slate? Why don't we remember a single thing? It's the biggest stumbling block for so many people when they think about this stuff. But as we're about to see, that very lack of memory, well, that's the key to the whole puzzle.
Okay, so before we jump into Piancastelli's really fascinating answer, we've got to look at the usual arguments against reincarnation. You know, the typical roadblocks. Piancastelli's whole idea is that you have to know what the walls look like before you can even start looking for the door.
So you've got these two major camps, right? On one side, you've got science, and science is saying, show me the proof. Where's the soul in a test tube? If I can't measure it, it's not there. Then on the other side, you have a lot of religious doctrine. Catholicism is a great example that says, nope, the soul is created fresh, brand new at the moment of birth. So any life before that, impossible. They're coming from totally different places, but both basically shut the door on the idea.
But here's where Piancastelli spots a little logical snag, a real wait a minute moment, specifically in the religious argument. He asks, okay, if the soul is created totally fresh and pure, with no history, then what's the deal with original sin? What is baptism actually washing away? How can a brand new soul be on the hook for a sin that happened way before it existed? See? It's that little contradiction that kind of cracks the door open for a whole new way of looking at things.
And this is where things get really interesting. This leads us right to Piancastelli's big idea, his radical alternative. He basically throws out a huge what if. What if our entire concept of reincarnation is just wrong? What if it has nothing to do with being punished for stuff we did in the past?
For him, reincarnation isn't some cosmic debt you have to pay back. It's not a punishment. Think of it more like a curriculum. And life here on Earth, that's the classroom. The spirit signs up, it enrolls to learn one very specific, hands-on subject, what it's like to be material. It's an experience, not a prison sentence.
The logic is actually super elegant when you lay it out. Step 1, the spirit exists, but it's not physical, it's beyond matter. Step 2, its most basic fundamental drive is just to know, to understand. Step 3, to really get what materiality is all about, you can't just watch from the sidelines. You have to dive in and experience it firsthand. And so, Step 4, it incarnates. The body becomes its temporary vehicle, its tool for this ultimate learning experience.
Okay, which brings us right back to that big question from the beginning, the memory paradox. If life is a classroom, why on earth does the student show up on the first day with complete amnesia? According to Piancastelli, this isn't a flaw. It's not a bug in the system. It's actually the single most important feature.
And the reason is, forgetting is a shield. It's this incredibly powerful form of psychological protection. And think about it, this makes a lot of sense. We don't just forget our past lives, we can barely remember most of this one. Right? You remember bits and pieces, snapshots, but that raw, intense emotional feeling of a moment, it fades. And trust me, there's a very, very good reason for that.
Piancastelli actually uses a really powerful personal story, a dream he had, to explain this. He says he found himself in this big, dark room. It felt like he was in some ancient city. There was an old man cooking something in the corner. And then, a door opens.
A woman steps out. She looks right at him, and she says just 4 words. I have always loved you.
And he said he woke up in an instant. But it wasn't like, oh, that was a weird dream. He woke up with the full, violent, crushing weight of that love. It was this immense, gut-wrenching pain for someone who he knew, with every fiber of his being, was real. Someone from centuries ago who is now gone forever.
So here's the takeaway. Just try to imagine for a second. Carrying the full, raw emotional weight of every single love, every single loss, every single trauma, from not just this life, but dozens of lifetimes all at once. The grief alone would be absolutely paralyzing. You couldn't function. So this amnesia, this forgetting, it's not a glitch. It's an act of mercy. It's what allows us to actually live our life now.
Okay, so this leads us to the final piece of the puzzle. The big twist. We've been on this whole journey, right? Searching for the soul, trying to prove it's real, trying to figure out its story. But what if we've been looking for it in all the wrong places?
Seriously, think about this.
When you go to sleep at night and your whole conscious personality, your you-ness, just shuts down, who are you then? Where does that feeling of I even go? Or here's another way to think about it. After a song is over, where does the music go? The piano is still sitting there, the guitar is on its stand, but the melody, the thing that moved you, it's gone. Does that mean it was never real?
So are we really just, 70 kilograms of flesh and bone sitting in a chair? Is that all there is to us? Or is it possible there's something more? Something that is using this body like a tool to see the world, to create things, to love other people, and to sit here wondering about all of this in the first place.
And this is it. This is the big mistake that kind of underpins the whole search. We've been thinking about it backwards. We assume that we are a body and that we have a soul, like it's an accessory, something we own.
The real shift in perspective, the final realization, is a total 180-degree flip. We are not a body that has a soul. We are the soul, and we are just having a temporary physical experience in a body. The very thing we've been looking for is the thing that's been doing the looking all along.
It reminds me of this incredible quote from the mystic Meister Eckhart that just nails this feeling of unity. He said, "The eye in which I see God is the same eye in which God sees me. The observer and the observed, the seeker and what is being sought, in the end, they're the same thing." And when you really let that sink in, well, it kind of changes everything, doesn't it?